Hey guys, look, I've been incredibly busy. This is why I have not been doing any streaming this week. It really wasn't by design. I had plans, but because of all of this stuff going down, I've been doing op-eds. I've been doing TV stuff and speaking about this, and I'm also still setting up that studio in there, almost wrapping some of that stuff up. So life's been crazy right now, so I haven't been streaming. I have been posting videos. I just haven't been streaming. So I apologize for that. But today, we're going to talk about something, what's come from all of this talk about not necessarily George Floyd. I think this got off the rails really fast, and now everybody's using this as an opportunity that situation as an opportunity to sort of do what it is that they want. So it's very agenda based, where they utilize the situation, and that's very unfortunate. I can totally understand that, but they use the situation to more so piggybacking off of it, and they use it to spread their own personal agendas. And that's clearly obvious when you hear, or more so see, some of the things that are being said by blue check marks, by supposed leaders, by celebrities and stuff. And it makes it very bizarre. Before I show y'all this tweet. Matter of fact, no, let's do this. Let's just go right into the tweet. I want to show you. So this person says, I'm not sure who she is. Oh, she's a writer. Okay. Says police are now brutalizing everyone just to maintain their ability to brutalize black people. This is such a warped view. And this whole thing is such a warped view. And it shows that people only see what the hell they want to see. And, like I said, this is why there will hardly ever be solutions to this particular issue. When we get on the other side of this, it's probably going to be worse, or it's going to be right where it is, because these fools can't properly identify a problem. If you can't properly identify what the particular issue is, right, you look at the symptom. And then you look at the symptom and you have this view of what symptom is, and you diagnose it completely incorrectly. And because you diagnose it completely incorrectly, you can't actually come to a solution. This is why these guys have been marching for years. There's been no move forward since, even before the people were rioting back in the 60s. But especially consider LA riots was almost 30 years ago. No forward investment. People still giving money to these hack organizations, still giving money to these hack leaders, Negro leaders who act like they are specifically there to advance black folk, which is nonsense. They certainly, in this regard, see what they want to see. But to say this is just incredibly stupid. Because she's trying to set up this scene like, oh, well, now they're beating up other people of other races so they can keep beating up everybody else. That doesn't even make sense. That's illogical. That's completely illogical. That doesn't even make sense. What's happening here, and she's referred, I believe in the original post, she referred to, somebody had replied to it with a blue check mark. Either her or somebody replied to it with a blue check. And they were mentioning about how, that was, I think it was somebody that maybe died from tear gas, some white lady died from tear gas, and they looked at the old man in Buffalo who got pushed down. We talked about this on the News and Why It Matters at Blaze TV. And they looked at that and they said, oh, well, now they're beating up. Fool, you ain't been paying attention this whole time. Google Daniel Shaver. Daniel Shaver was killed on a body cam. We all saw it. White as snow. Killed on body cam. And it's a very disturbing video. And not only did that happen, the man who did it, who was arrested, originally he was arrested, but the man who did it, the cop who did it, got off, even though we all saw it. He went for second degree. He walked. And not only that, he went back to work. And then when he went back to work, he retired. He's like, he might be younger than me. He's either my age or younger than me, if I'm not mistaken. He retires and now he's getting like a $2,500 pension a month. Duncan Lip, another white guy, which is more recent, was no-knock-rated and killed in his own house. So none of those guys have been arrested. There's been no body cam footage released on that one. So they basically can claim whatever it is they want to claim. Because he's dead. He can't testify on his own behalf. These guys, again, this shows that when it comes to media, when it comes to the driven narrative, it's generally only it's one angle, right? Narrative that they've wanted to perpetuate is black people are treated like garbage when it comes to the cops, or black people are brutalized by the cops. Now, I've said this, if you look at the pinned tweet when I was with Stu, on Stu Does America over at Blaze, and I talked about how racism without statism is nothing more than a bad idea. I have no desire to sit here and try to even the odds. And the odds itself are debatable anyway. There's no concrete. I mean, everybody has their angles that they've wanted to take this, but to act like there's just this concrete, yes, clear cut, in terms of the bias in their regards, it's very difficult to find, right? Because you can't account. It's hard to account for everything. You got to account for population, and you got to account for, okay, if you look at violent crimes, and you look at who's more likely to be in, and it's like it's almost impossible. I know there's been studies that have been confirmed it one way or the other. It's whatever your bias wants to be, and a lot of people, if not most of them, have run with that other idea. And I personally don't care, because the issue does not get resolved if you somehow even the odds. If you white people, 25% white people get beat up, and another 25% black, then another 25% Asian, another 25, like, that doesn't fix this issue. That's because they don't know what it is. You have not been paying attention if you think that white people are not killed by the police. You have not been paying attention. If you don't think they have been beat up by the police, you have not been paying attention at all. You're seeing what you want to see. Whose fault that is? I think it's you for not even bothering to try to look into other cases because you think this is something new. But, media plays their role into it too, because it's not until they see a black victim when they're going to highlight it. This is why all the ones in recent years that follow, whether it be Freddie Gray, whether it be all of that, all the ones that had all of the spotlight, the media attention, were the black ones. It's because it's an easy target. It's a narrative that they wanted to perpetuate. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean it isn't happening. And that's what this whole thing has been centered around. It's people see what they want to see. They have, and then generally is an echo chamber that they're in, and nobody's going to correct them. Nobody's going to correct them. Look at my last video talking about, the metalcore and hardcore scene. Same thing. They yell in the echo chamber all day long, and if nobody is telling you that you're wrong, you're going to keep doing it. But on a serious note, guys like me, I've been talking about this for years. Because, look, like I said, racism without statism is nothing more than a bad idea. These fools are trying to fight racism. Like, congratulations, man. Like, you trying to fight that potentially, in some cases, an invisible enemy when it comes to this, and you're not actually getting to the root of the problem. This is why everything is empty rhetoric. This centered a whole bunch of, or more so sparked a whole bunch of people just doing donations for completely ineffective organizations, fundraising for completely ineffective organizations that's been around for a little bit now. And what has that got you? Nothing. Because they don't know what they're doing either. It's the one thing to sit up here and yell police brutality, Black Lives Matter, yada, 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 yada. Like, Okay, now what? And generally, their solutions is give the police a new set of rules, or, and what you're seeing in some cases, they want to disband the police, which would be, I'm an anarchist, be awesome. But what they're proposing isn't anything. It's like what in Minneapolis, we're gonna disband the police, and then we're gonna provide this like transformative way of public safety. It's they're replacing the police department with a police department. That's it. It's all optics. Doesn't mean anything. Rhetoric's empty. But this is why the solution is never there. Because what they want is to try to have people, they're more concerned with, again, evening out, or more so their percent. That's going to be a hard thing to do anyway, because it's not about what's actually happened. It's about what they see. And they want to see as if everybody's getting whooped up equally. Then they'll be satisfied. I mean, these same weirdos who have been lecturing me for a bit half of a decade. I say taxation is theft. One of the first things they bring up is the police. And now because it's cool, well, we're going to disband the police to replace it with the police. It's amazing. But the issue of police brutality is a statism problem, man. It is an institutional problem. And if you just sitting here dwelling on race, it'll never get solved. That's what they're concerned with. That's what the conversation is about. Race. It's like, okay. Oh, it's better if you feel like the odds are even in terms of who's the proportion, or what's the proper proportion, which I'm like, what is the proper proportion of people getting their butt whooped by the police? Anybody got the numbers on that? What's the respectable proportion on that? Nobody knows, because there is none. They just want to see something change in regards to how often they feel black people are beat up by the police. But this moronic idea that now they're beating up, just so they can continue to beat up black people, now they're beating up white people. Where have you been, bro? Maybe in that echo chamber. Maybe not paying attention. But this is not anything new. White people get killed by the police. White people get brutalized by the police. It happens all the time. And that's how things are nowadays. People think that their lens is the only lens that there is. And if it's not within that lens, if it's not within their scope, then it doesn't exist. So now that they can see it, they think it's new. But it's not new. There's no statistical evidence that points to the fact that this is a new thing, because it's not a new thing. You just started hearing about it because apparently where you get your news resources or news sources or news doesn't cover that. Doesn't mean that it doesn't happen just because it's not covered or it's not talked about or trending on social media. It doesn't have hashtags. It didn't pop off this big time bandwagon effect. There was no murals. Just because that didn't happen does not mean that it doesn't happen in regards to police brutality against white folk. And I'm not saying this to look. The point is, you have to properly identify the problem. And it's a statism problem. You got a territorial monopoly on use of force, violence, and ultimate decision making. That is it's a teeth of the state. I'm in it with this. The reason why, well, more so, if you want to look at other things that really highlight that they don't know what they're talking about, look at the fact that the game was, so how rigged that game was. 2.5 months, 3 months, they had been lecturing you about you were going to kill your grandma if you went out there and got in big groups and gatherings, right? So they locked down the entire country, or very close to it, right? Bandwagon effect. Governors locking everything down. Okay. They lectured you, told you you're going to kill your grandmother, all this, and then they were able to go back on that almost immediately after this unfortunate event happened and this man was murdered by the police. And after that happened, now all of a sudden it's cool to protest. And even the health officials that they said were not biased, now say that this is more important. That doesn't even make sense. It goes all this goes against everything you've been lecturing us. It's a rigged game. They see what they want to see. They do what they want to do. It exists in a bubble, and it has nothing to do with being honest. It has nothing to do with properly identifying any sort of issue. It's more to do with posturing, more grandstanding, more posturing. If you can just speak, this thing has 452,000 likes. It's one of the most liked tweets that I've ever seen. And it's completely stupid. It's an illogical position. It doesn't make sense in the context of what has happened. No sense. But people want to see what they want to see. And they do what they want to do. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't matter if they're being hypocrites. It doesn't matter. And it's unfortunate because it's not going to be a solution until people really talk about that institution. When they're ready to have that discussion, it'll get resolved. But what it does is it forces them to have to drop the positions that they already have. You cannot say all cops are bastards and then turn around and advocate for free healthcare, free college. Those are diametrically opposed positions. Who, federal and local law enforcement, are going to be the ones that enforce that stuff. They do it right now. In the event that people do not want to pitch in, and it's not pitch in, it's be stolen from, to pitch in. In the event someone resists, they will be killed. Hell, you saw what happened to Eric Garner. He got choked out for selling untaxed cigarettes. Those are diametrically opposed positions. And again, like I said, game's rigged anyway. They were willing to snitch on their neighbors just not even a couple of months, just a week ago. They were ready to snitch on their neighbors. A couple of weeks ago, snitching on their neighbors because they thought they were killing grandmas. And here we are now. You can't have those positions, man. You can't have those positions. They're diametrically opposed. But that's, again, why they won't properly identify the problem, because it forces them to, no matter if what they're advocating doesn't make sense in context, it forces them to have to drop the positions that they claim to advocate, period. And they won't do it. They don't even see. They think they can have, what's the phrase? Have their cake and eat it too? I always hate this stupid phrase, but that's what they think they can do. But to sit here and act like police are just not getting brutalizing other people, everyone, just so they can keep brutalizing black people is completely illogical, because you have just not been paying attention. And just because you don't see it does not mean that it doesn't exist.